Alright, so here we are in 1-3, the first part, where we're going to talk about midpoints and bisectors for a bit. So, first problem, it says identify, I'll zoom in here for you. Identify the segment bisector of AB, then find how big AB actually is. Segment bisector, remember that's something that cuts your segment in half. And here's AB, you'll notice you got two congruent symbols, which means this guy cuts your AB segment in half. Now you got two options for your answer here. You could say bisector is line D. That way you have that little italic D, so line D. Or you could put point M. Both would work. Now, how big is AB? What do you think? Well, if this half is 15, how big is this half? 15. And then you add those two guys together, and you got 15 plus 15, which is 30. Boom, done. Number 2. Find the segment bisector first. So we put bisector is, again, we could put point M, or we could put ray ML. And AB would equal, let's see if this half, remember we got those congruent markings, so these guys are going to be the same. So that means this guy's 5.5 also. 5.5 and 5.5 make 11. Bop, done. Three and 4 is that you're using the same principles as these guys, but now you're just going to use some algebra. So similar to the top, we're going to identify the bisector. So bisector is section right here, looks like line MR. But now we got these two guys that have X's. So we're going to have to solve those. How are they related? Well, they're congruent. What does congruent mean? Equal. So we can go x plus 12 equals 8x minus 2. Solve this guy. I like to move the smaller x to the bigger side, because then I don't have a negative at the end. Just makes the problem a little bit easier. Boom, 2 equals x. Am I done? Not quite. It says find out how big ST is. So I'm going to take my 2, I'm going to plug it in, I'll substitute that value in, and now I have 2 plus 12. Well, how big is 2 plus 12? 14. Is 14 my answer? Not quite. 14 is a half, but if this guy's 14, how big is this guy? Also 14. We don't even need to substitute our 2 in there and solve that little piece, because we know the two halves have to be equal. And ST is going to be your whole segment, which is 14 plus 14. That would be 28. Boom, done. Number 4 is similar. Like, yeah, you're pretty much looking at the same deal. Your bisector is only one option, point M. I guess we could use point M back there also. And then we're going to kind of relate the two congruent pieces. They are in fact equal, so we can go 2x plus 3 equals 4x minus 7. When you get to here, it's back to algebra. Minus 2x both sides. And two-step equation from here. We're just going to do our algebra. And we're going to go to boom. 5 equals x. Remember, we're not quite done yet. We're going to take this x value and substitute it into these guys, or just 1. Because 2 times 5 is 10, plus 3 is 13. So if this is 13, how big is this guy over here? Also going to be 13, because the two halves have to be congruent, have to be equal. And the whole deal, ST would be 13 plus 13. ST equals 26. Boom. Got it. You'll see some problems like that on your work today. And hopping down, you're going to need to use that midpoint formula. So, I'm going to get some scratch paper ready to roll here. Kind of get that. It says the endpoints are given. Find the coordinates of the midpoint. Midpoint M. So, remember our midpoint formula is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. From here, we're going to take these points and put the values into this formula. x1, y1, x2, y2. If you label your points, it's going to help your brain figure out what pieces go where in the formula. And now we're just going to substitute these numbers into your formula. So we got x1 is negative 3, plus x2 is 9, over 2, y1 is 2, y2 is 2. Boom. And we're just going to solve this guy. Be aware of those negatives. Negative 3 plus 9, that's like almost like, in your brain you can think about like a back 3, go back 3, then forward 9. Where you at? Oh, you're at a 6. 2 plus 2 is 4. 3 comma 2. Boom. And we have our ordered pair, so it's a parentheses. And that would be the coordinate of your midpoint. So M would be 3 comma 2. Number 8 is the same process. We're going to use this midpoint formula. I always like to start with labeling. x1, y1, x2, y2. Remember, you have an x coordinate and a y coordinate in every point. The first point is going to be x, or the first number is going to be x. The second number is going to be your y. And then you can go x1 plus x2, and then y1 plus y2. Cool. And we've got ourselves, what is that, 8 over 2, 8 over 2, boom, 4, 4. And there's your midpoint. Now, the last piece, these problems can seem difficult, and they're different, but they're not too bad. Make sure you just watch what we do, okay, guys? It says you're going to be given a midpoint and an end point. Find the other end point. So it says M is the midpoint, so there's your midpoint. That's kind of easy to remember. M is midpoint, okay? And you're going to use a pattern. End, middle, end. And we're going to write in what we know. Well, we know our midpoint is 2, 5. And we know one of our endpoints is 2, 3. Now, we're going to say, what's the pattern that we see here? And I'm going to cover up either the x or the y. Well, what's happening in my y? I jump from 3 to 5. 3 plus what? Or plus or minus what is 5? Well, 3 plus 2 is 5. Then we repeat the pattern. 5 plus 2 is 7. On the left, the x didn't change. Technically, you're plusing 0. Well, if you plus 0 again, you know what you got? The same thing. Boom, there you go. So technically this is plus 0 if you want to show your work. And 2 plus 0 is in fact still 2. and 2, 7 is our missing endpoint. Let's do one more of those. Again, if you take the time to write out your work like this, you're going to get these right like 95% of the time. As long as you set it up correctly. Like if you flip around your midpoint and endpoint, well, you're going to have a problem. So make sure you set your problem up correctly. That's our midpoint, remember? The endpoints of A and B. Well, there's B, that's one of the endpoints. So we're looking for the other endpoint, which would be A. So we can go end, middle, end. Our midpoint is -4, -4. Ooh, we got some negatives here. B is 1, and where are we going to end up? That is the question. Whoa, well, first off, you're going to notice your X and Y's are really the same here. How do you go from -1 to -4? Remember, in your brain, we've gone from back 1 to back 4. So how do you jump from back 1 to back 4? Well, you'd have to go back 3 more steps. So -3. So -1 minus 3 would get us to -4. And you can always kind of play with a calculator to figure out what this value is right there. And you're going to repeat it, -4 minus 3. So you're going back 4. Now you go back 3 more. You're back 7. -7. Boom. And because these two values, -1, -4, are the same over here, you're going to use the same pattern, a -3 pattern, and end up with the same answer there. All right, well, hopefully that gets you started a little bit on the on some of the examples or some of the problems you'll see in this section. Again, you can always refer back to this video if you're going through the practice and you get kind of stuck. Again, you can always look back at this video and pause, rewind, or you can ask questions to me via email or Google Meet. Thanks for your work. Have a good day.